Jim, a point apiece here at Rugby Park. How do you reflect on tonight's match?
Well, I think the game, played out pretty much how we expected in terms of Kilmarnock's approach. Very direct team, like to get the ball forward early. They're very good at it. They've got willing runners at the top end of the pitch in Anderson, Watkins, and Tiffany. Backed up by the midfielder Watson and Lyons. So we knew it was going to be a physical battle, and we knew that we were going to have to match that aggression, and I thought we did all of that. It's very rare do you see a really nice pretty game of football down here, because you have to be willing to roll your sleeves up on this surface, and you have to be willing to go and match the aggression of the opposition. So I thought we saw plenty of that. We wanted a reaction from the game against Falkirk on Saturday. We wanted to defend the box better, and I thought we did that really, really well today. Kelly are very good at set plays, good deliveries coming in from corners, long throws, and I thought we defended all of those situations very, very well. Over the first half, probably not a great deal between the two teams. It wasn't a game that was easy on the eye, I don't think. But we showed a really good reaction in the second half to a very disappointing decision, in my opinion, for the penalty that was awarded against us. It's for me just far too soft. I think the threshold in the penalty area needs to be a lot higher than anywhere else on the pitch, and it's a coming together with Carestes and Watkins. Watkins is quite clever, feels the contact and goes over, but for me the referee should be called to see the monitor, and I think had he been over to see a few replays, I think he would have overturned his decision. Has
he explained why he didn't go over to check the replays?
Well, I can only assume that the guys in the VAR studio agreed with his decision, or didn't think it was a clear and obvious error. But for me, in a game of such importance to the two teams, neither team coming into tonight's game in great form, desperate to get 3 points. We were happy to come down here tonight and win ugly if we had to, and I feel we'd done a lot of good things within the game, particularly in the second half. It was a lot better. We played the majority of it in Kilmarnock's half of the pitch. Kelly hit us on the counter-attack 3 or 4 times, which is to be expected because we're initially chasing the game to get the equaliser, and then towards the end we're trying to go and get that winner. But I just, good character, I suppose, shown from the players. I feel that we should be sitting here talking about a real ugly, resilient 1-0 win. But that decision hasn't allowed that to happen.
What do you feel was the difference in the second half in terms of that attacking fluidity?
Look, it's hard to put your finger on it. I think we had good energy. I think the fitness levels of the players showed. I thought we were a little bit tidier in our possession in the second half. The midfielders getting on the ball a bit more. I thought Pan Kamara was outstanding in the middle of the pitch. He was doing the job of 2 players at times, but him, Sybil, Stevenson in the middle of the park, done what we had asked of them. In a game like tonight against an opponent like Kilmarnock, it's all about picking up second balls and doing the ugly side of the game, the stuff that we didn't do well enough last weekend. So I thought we'd done all of that. We know we can play a lot better. Like I said, we came here to try and win the game. We're disappointed only to draw it, but I think it's important when you lose like we did at Falkirk. I think it's really important that you don't lose the next one, and it might be a valuable point come the end of the season.
Yeah, you made a few changes to the starting 11 going into the game. Obviously Dave Richards, the main one between the sticks, but also Roscoe and Max coming back from their respective hamstring injuries. So how do you feel those guys fared tonight? Yeah, look, I felt we needed to freshen things up after the Falkirk game. Obviously, the mistakes that were made have been well highlighted. Kucherenko, unfortunately, is completely out of the squad tonight because of a calf strain he actually picked up in the early part of the week, and I know there'll be a few cynics out there doubting that explanation, but I can assure you he's had a scan on Thursday morning. The scan showed a slight tear in his calf, and he's probably going to be out for the next 2 or 3 weeks anyway. So we recalled Rory Adams, who's been having a great loan at East Fife. He's Scotland's under 21 first choice keeper, and he'll be there for the foreseeable to support Dave Richards in the sticks. Pleased for Dave. What he had to do, I thought he'd done very well. He wasn't exactly, peppered with shots and having to make save after save, but his distribution was good. He's unlucky with the penalty save from Anderson, anywhere else, but back out there, it would have been a good save. And, I thought he deserved a clean sheet for his performance. Ross Graham, excellent again. He's our captain, he's our leader. Really good experience in there within the middle of the back line. Ryan Strain done well at wing back. You know, these guys, Max Waters, haven't played a huge amount of football, so match fitness and sharpness is going to take a little bit of time. So we have to be patient with those guys in particular, because if we ask too much of them too early, then we run the risk of these injuries reoccurring. So with the busy schedule coming up, we'll have to make changes where we feel is necessary.
Yeah, and it's a quick turnaround into Rangers on Wednesday. It's the type of game that we've actually done quite well in this season, so does that give you a wee bit of confidence?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're not happy with the recent run of results. You know, we've drawn too many games. The defeats that we've had against Motherwell and Falkirk recently, you know, have not been us as a team. You know, we've not done ourselves any justice whatsoever in those particular games. We do feel that there are certain games that, you know, we should have held on to win. And, you know, Rangers last time out at Ibrox, we feel, you know, 5 minutes to go, leading 2-1, we felt that we dropped a couple of points on that occasion. So hopefully we can make amends for that on Wednesday. But we know how tough it's going to be. New manager in the dugout, different style of play. You know, still a very good team with good individuals. But our boys will be ready, we'll be prepared, and we'll go out there and try and put on a show for the home support. And I have to say a big thank you as well to the travelling fans here tonight. You know, turned out in great numbers. A strange kind of kick-off time for them. They'll be getting back to Dundee a little bit later than normal, but they certainly made themselves heard, kept with the team right up to the last minute, and you know, I'm pleased that we didn't lose the game at least.